Welcome back, team. Today we are continuing our sessions using rubber bands. So I've got a whole stack of them lined up here. Funnily enough, today, even though we're on the purple level, we're on the advanced level, I probably won't be moving too far away from our yellow bands here. The reason being that the movements I've constructed for today's workout, they're a little bit more complex. They do involve putting 2 or 3 things together to challenge your strength, your coordination, and your balance. So I'm going to talk through the movements now. If you'd like to skip straight to the workout because you know what you're doing, you live life on the edge, etc., go check out the chapter marker below. There's a little timestamp there for the workout itself. Otherwise, stick with me while I talk about the first movement, which is the plank rotation. Okay, so plank rotations, you know, you've probably seen these during our body weight only workouts, but what we're going to do today is actually do a plank rotation using a band. So what this is going to do, it's going to require some extra strength to open your hands out, and it's going to introduce some instability while you're balancing on one hand and one foot. So here we go. We're going to start off. What we want to do is actually have our hands in between the bands like this, and then you're going to grasp like that. One hand on the floor. What you can actually do, you can actually hold onto them using your thumbs and the under part, the meat of your palm there. We're going to perform a plank, high plank, holding the band under one arm. You're going to rotate, so rotate the body, keeping your butt in between your shoulders and your ankles. Pull this band up until we are in this side T plank, and then bring it down, nice, slow, controlled rotation. Now you see the hand goes on top of the band on the other side, rotate up, holding that band, plank rotation, and bring it down. So you see, you don't actually need a very heavy band for this one, because just as it is, it's actually quite difficult to do a plank rotation without the band, number one. So you don't need to go to the red one. We might see how that goes later on down the track. After this, we're working with overhead squats. So an overhead squat, should talk about it, just a regular squat. You've got your butt pushing back, your chest and your head are upright, feet flat on the floor, body weight squat like this. Now with an overhead squat, what we're going to be doing is starting to challenge our shoulder mobility. And using a band is a really, really good way to start practicing this, because you've actually got some give in the rubber. So what we're going to do is arms up above the head. The wider your grip is, the easier this will be to learn. So I want you to start off with your hands right at the end of the band here, up above the head. So keeping the shoulder blades depressed and retracted, pulled back. What I would love for you to do is now perform this overhead squat whilst trying to keep your arms straight up above you, okay? So I don't want to see this. You're going to feel like you want to do this. You want to lean forward. I would like you to keep your arms right above your head. And you're going to squat down as low as you can, keeping your heels flat on the floor, okay? So this one, you're going to start to feel your upper back muscles engaging, because they're going to be working to hold your shoulders up above your head. And also your glutes are going to need to fire in a slightly different way to prevent your back from popping out in the wrong direction. So that's why you want to be wide, because as soon as you go in nice and close like this, you're going to feel yourself dip forward a bit more because of shoulder mobility. But the upside is, because you're using bands, even if you do start off really close like this, and you can't avoid the immobility which makes you lean forward, as you get lower, you'll find that your hands will probably stretch apart a little bit, like that, okay? So see how you go, keeping the shoulder blades pulled back and depressed, squat as low as you can, and up. Nice. Lots of work going on in the shoulders here. So after our overhead squats, we're going to be doing a fun one. This is called shoulder flexion and extension. Okay, so shoulder flexion and extension. This is an interesting one. We're actually gonna halve the band. We're gonna double it over. It's a nice light band to begin with. We're gonna stand on the band here with one foot. So you can choose whether you want to do the left or the right foot. It doesn't matter so much. I like to swap it with each rotation. So now what we're gonna do is get into this bent over position. So it's kind of like from here, you can see I'm putting my left leg back, right foot forward. I'm in a bent over position, so I'm getting a nice neutral spine from my hips all the way up to my shoulders. And we're gonna do flexion and extension of the shoulders. What that means is that the angle between my arms and my body is gonna change. And we're gonna start off with flexion, rising it up, and then in extension of the shoulder is when your arm goes behind your body. We're gonna do it with two arms here. So in this bent over position from the front, we're gonna flexion. So raise the arms, and then extension, pull it back. So we're gonna do 45 seconds worth of this. Nice neutral spine, pushing the butt back, shoulders flexion, and then shoulders extension. So hey, how you going? Welcome in, Celty, mate. We'll just let the smoke clear there. Welcome in. You've joined us just as we were doing our band demonstration. So Celty, have you done these before? We're gonna run through it again, one more time for those that are just joining. We're doing a recording for YouTube here. What we're gonna do is double over the band, standing on it with the front foot. We're gonna get into this bent over position. Bent over position with one leg slightly behind, neutral spine from the hips all the way up to the tip of the head basically. And from here, because we've got a nice light band, we're gonna be doing the flexion of the shoulders. So straight arms up, and then extension of the shoulders, pulling straight behind you. So that's the shoulder flexion and extension. That's it. So the next movement on the list we're working with is called row your boat. I feel like Grace will really, really like this one. So what this is, we're actually combining two movements. We're combining a seated row with a boat hold, okay? So I'm gonna grab here, I've got a handy dandy piece of toast, but what you can use is a yoga mat. So if you've got a mat or if you've got something to sit on, maybe you can fold a towel over a couple of times. I'm gonna pop this down the floor just to protect my butt. And again, I'm using a nice small band, nice thin band for this one. So, Grace, you might like this one then. What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna hold the bands at the end. It's almost like I'm in like a billy cart. Do you guys remember driving a billy cart around? Right? So what we're gonna do, having the band wrapped under our feet, we're then going to hold the ends of the bands. I'm gonna pop into a boat hold. So now the boat hold is, I've got my shins horizontal to the ground, and what we're gonna do, arms out straight, straighten the legs, row. Straighten the legs and row. Now you might find that your bands actually don't have the length to support the tension when you're at the end. So what you can do, actually wrap around. Do a little bit of a wrap around here. So you see now that I've got the bands wrapped around my feet. Okay, so we're in this boat hold now. Straighten it out, bring it in. So this whole movement, I'm gonna try and keep my feet up off of the floor. I'm using my shoulder blades to pull my arms back, and I'm using my quads to push my legs forward. At the same time, I'm using my core to hold myself in that boat hold, okay? So that's why today is a purple day. That's why today is an advanced day, because of things like that, right? So feel free to pause the video if you're watching on YouTube and you get to that and you're having some trouble with your balance, feel free to press pause, get some reps in and then resume. And as time goes on, you're gonna get better and better at that one. So that's a good fun one. After row your boat, we've got reverse wood choppers. The reverse wood choppers, if you can imagine a wood chopper with an axe, a hatchet, hitting down, what we're gonna be doing in the reverse direction is we're gonna wrap our foot. What I like to do with this one is actually just do a little bit of a loop around the foot, just to get a bit of extra tension. You're gonna stand wider than shoulder width, okay? Nice and wide. We're gonna start down nice and low here, and from here, pull up. So it's a rotation. We're gonna rotate the torso. We're gonna face this direction. We're gonna start off facing the direction where the band is, and then we're gonna rotate and pull up. So we're actually using a lot of shoulder, a lot of arm, a lot of upper body here to pull it up, but also that core rotation, which is such an important aspect of fitness because people don't focus a lot on rotation. So we're gonna do one side, do the other side after that. And then the final movement I've got here is a split squat lateral hold, okay? I think you'll like this one as well, Celty. The split squat lateral hold. Who remembers what a split squat is? Put your hand up. If not, I'll explain it obviously. With a split squat, you're gonna be taking a lunge forward. And I want you to lunge to a distance where both your back foot and your left foot are at 90 degrees. Back leg and left leg. So there we go. So now I'm in the perfect lunge distance. See where my toe is? See where my foot is? They're not gonna move. They're gonna stay exactly where they are. If I've got my left foot lunged forward, I'm gonna wrap the band under my left foot and secure it there, okay? And what I'm gonna do, on the side here, right hand is gonna come up and I'm gonna hold this in an isometric hold. So now I've got my shoulders, my traps, they're actually working to hold this up to the side. And from here, I'm gonna stand up without moving my feet. That's the split squat, and then down, up and down. So this is a spicy meatball. You can see, I'm introducing some instability in the torso and the upper body because I'm now being pulled down like this, but I'm also getting some extra work in those shoulders and the traps here. And you can see I'm actually working a hell of a lot harder in my calves down the bottom here to also try and avoid that rotation. So we're gonna do it one side, and then when the timer switches and changes, you lunge forward with the right leg, wrap the band under that, left arm is coming up. You wanna try a couple of things. Try and not let it rotate forward because it's gonna be pulled forward, so you're gonna pull it back. You want this arm to be completely perpendicular on the sagittal plane and the frontal plane. What that means, in English, Jeff, perpendicular is 90 degrees. So you want it 90 degrees from your spine. That's 90 degrees in the sagittal plane. And then in the frontal plane, you want it 90 degrees to the body as well, okay? So it's gonna be completely pointing out there. So yes, shy screen here. Lots of new movements today. So that's why today's is the advanced one. That's the last movement. So if you're watching, pop your watches into cardio mode because we're gonna start this workout now. Pressing start here. We're gonna press start over here. Beep. You got a 20-second count in. We're gonna start off with our plank rotations. So this one, shake it out, get ready, pop on the floor here. Remember, like what I said, start off with a light band. In this first round, start off. Oh, it's good to have you here. I can give you guys a proper welcome now. So howdy, how's everyone doing? We've got the high plank. We're gonna start it. Rotate over, pull that band up, hold it in this top position. Nice, slow transition down and roll across. So this is the plank rotation. Yeah, so my name's Jeff. If you're watching on YouTube, because that's what we're doing right now. If you're watching on Twitch, you should know that we're recording this for YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to pop by the stream, which we do on morning times Adelaide, which I think is an afternoon time in the US time zones. Here we go. But if you're watching on Twitch, welcome in if you came in with Celti's raid. There's the beeper, there's the timer. We're gonna take a 30-second rest. We've got a 45-second set of overhead squats to do. I'm a qualified personal trainer / coach. I'm qualified in physical training, currently studying qualifications in nutrition as well. And really, really good to meet you all here, especially since you've come in with Celti. I know you're part of a fitness crew, so I know what you're into. Overhead squats. Remember, we're starting nice and wide with a nice light band. Straight up overhead, pull those shoulder blades back and depress the shoulder blades. We're then gonna bend at the knees, push the hips back, keeping the heels flat on the floor, squatting as low as you can, squeezing your butt and your quads to thrust those hips forward as you come up. Now, if you find that your heels are coming up off the floor, a couple of things you can do. Go wider. So if you go wider, point your toes out of touch, you might find that your hip mobility allows you to flex a little bit more at the ankles. Otherwise, don't go down as low. Funnily enough, this is a really good movement to point out one of the phenomenon in kinesiology, well, not really kinesiology, I should say kinetic physical sciences. One of the phenomenon that you hear about is cross-body compensation. So one thing that you can sometimes learn about overhead squats is that if your shoulder mobility is lacking, it can sometimes lead to a lack of ankle mobility. So just by having your arms overhead, it can sometimes lead to people lifting their heels when they're doing a squat. So that's an interesting phenomenon. Bent over shoulder flexions and extensions. Here we go. I'm gonna step on the nice light band here. I'm gonna bring one leg behind me, bending over. I'm gonna do that shoulder flexion. So it's raising in front of us. Bring it down, nice holds during this. And then here's this shoulder extension. Now for me, the flexion is a tough one. It's gonna work those boulder shoulder muscles on the front of your shoulders, which if you're concerned about aesthetics, so bodybuilders, they like doing these sorts of ones because they make your shoulders fill out your t-shirt a little bit better. But for me, I'm concerned about strength, mobility, and longevity of quality of life. And for that, I would really like people to focus on this one, the shoulder extension, pulling it far behind your back, because not enough people get into this extended posture. And it can lead to some weird issues with internal rotation later in life. So I think the extension is probably the better of those two to work on. We've got the row your boats to do, so popping down on the floor. Here we go. Row your boat time. I'm gonna do that bit of a double wrap. Actually, no, I'll start without the double wrap. We're gonna bring ourselves up into that boat hold now. Push the legs forward, row back. So for this whole movement, I'm not letting my feet touch the floor. The legs are extending, the knees are extending, hips are extending, but not to the point where I'm actually touching the floor with my feet. I want a nice straight spine as well. So from wherever your butt is touching the floor up to the tip of your head. So don't be like this, don't be like this. You want that nice, neutral posture all the way up your spine, up your neck, into the base of your skull there, all the way down into your sacrum or your coccyx, your butt bone. Cool. Okay, we got reverse woodchoppers now. So moving my toast over here. 30 seconds to shake it off, get ready for this one. So this is the reverse woodchopper on the right-hand side, because I've got this one split, so hopefully the timer works properly for me. It's a 1 minute 30 reverse woodchopper. I do apologize if it doesn't work properly, but we're gonna go middle of the camera. Nice wide stance here. I'm gonna grab it slightly below, okay? So we're gonna go up and down. So it hasn't done my timer properly. So what I'm gonna do, at the 45-second mark, I'm gonna tell you, and we're gonna swap sides, okay? Bring it up and down, up and down. So you don't have to reach all the way down. What I'm looking for is that your feet both remain on the floor. I don't want toes lifting up. I want the power of the rotation coming from your core. So it's coming from here, twisting and mobilizing through your whole spine. Okay, 45 seconds is up. We're gonna swap sides now. There we go. And bring it up the other way. So I'm facing the direction where the band is attached, and then I'm gonna rotate, face the other direction. So slightly different set of muscles as you're working in this other direction here, because you've got the push muscles from your shoulder really working to pull that band up. Funnily, we're pulling the band, but it's the push muscles on top of your shoulders. And also the core rotation, which the rotation effect isn't as crazy as if you were doing something like a Parlov press or like a baseball swing, but it's still there nonetheless. 30 seconds. We got our split squat lateral holds now. Now again, this is meant to be left, right, but I don't think the timers worked properly. So we'll swap when we get to the 45-second mark. So I'm gonna start off with the left foot, lunging forward with this one. So nice, deep lunge so that our foot just kisses the ground and we got 90 degrees in both sides. We're wrapping this bad boy around the front foot. I'm getting into this lateral hold, and then I'm gonna split squat up. So with the split squats, I know I focused a lot on this arm that's holding the band. I want that to be perpendicular in all of the planes. But what we're gonna be doing here is moving our torso completely up and down. Down, up, down. So my left hand here was just for balance, purely for balance. When we get to 50 seconds left, I'm gonna swap sides. Cool, taking a step back. I'm gonna step forward with my right foot. I'm gonna put that band in here like this, and up, down. Good. So we're doing the split squats, and we're also holding our shoulders out to the side here, like this. Fighting for balance, fighting for our quads. Quads are working overtime. 90 seconds worth of split squats. Combined, both sides. Good. There's the timer. Awesome. All right, we've got 1 minute rest now. So in this minute rest, I want you to think about a couple of things. Number one, shaking your legs. Shaking your legs, shaking your shoulders, rolling your shoulders backwards and forwards. To getting everything working really, really nicely. And thinking about whether the band that you're actually using is fit for purpose. Is this long enough? Is this tight enough? Is there enough tension? Do you think you need to step up in order to challenge yourself a little bit more, okay? So have a think about those things. You can see my heart rate didn't really start soaring, but I'm definitely building a sweat. I'm using some muscles. I'm using a lot of my body in order to get balance, to get strength here. Woo. Let's go, plank rotations. So back on the floor, I'm gonna stick with, actually I'm gonna go red band with the plank rotations. So nice, tight red band here. So starting off in a high plank, I'm gonna rotate up, pull that band so it's tight across your chest, and you're at 90 degrees to the floor. We're gonna flip over. Control the descent. You see here, I'm pushing my hips forward as well. I'm trying to have a straight line between my shoulders, my butt, and my ankles. And as you bring yourself down, don't overshoot the mark when you rotate. Good, good. They're fun movements, aren't they, Grace? These ones are really, really cool. So if you are doing these and you're having trouble with them, doesn't surprise me because these are advanced level movements. We've done 2 beginners and 2 intermediate band workouts. They're both green and blue. So go check those ones out if you're having a little bit of trouble with today's. Otherwise, really, really lean into it. I'm gonna go with the red band this time, and I'm gonna hold it a little bit closer together for these squats. So I'm gonna go side on so you can see how I'm trying to keep my hands and my arms completely above me, horizontal. Oh, sorry, not horizontal, vertical, completely vertical. Now you'll have seen this movement before, okay? Sometimes at the Olympics, you're flicking channels and you see people doing what they call a snatch. So a barbell snatch is where you're gonna bring the barbell from the floor to above your head in one movement. And sometimes if you're doing a full power snatch, you're gonna be catching the bar down here at this position. It's gonna be above your head, caught above your head, and then you're using the front squat, or they're using the squat muscles to stand up there. Yeah. Mic started popping. Roger that. Is it popping now? Or is it just when I was facing this one direction? It's only for a moment? Okay. Today you did a band workout, now you're making me rethink everything. In a good way, Skune, or are you rethinking things because you were doing things poorly? All right, bent over, shoulder flexions and extensions. I'm gonna go so close, I'm gonna go closer to the mic just so we can we avoid popping. So nice bend, neutral spine here, so you know I'm not curving. I have a neutral spine, neutral neck. I'm gonna flexion, and then shoulder extension. Pull it back. Actually, I'm gonna swap foot. So I do things, flexion and extension. Hey! Serene Scarlet Moonlight. Grace, thanks for the gifty there. To Scarlet Moonlight. That sounds very Sailor Moon. That sounds very 80s anime. I'm finishing with that extension because you remember that speech I gave earlier, how much I like extensions. You planned one to do in a few days and rethinking movements. Good, that's a good thing. I hope you do rethink things. I'm gonna upgrade to a red band for these row your boats because I feel like I've got a bit more power now. I feel like I've got a little bit of coordination with my boat holds. I'm Sky, Squid Air. Grace, thank you. Okay, we're starting off now. So we're getting into that boat hold. Balance, straighten the legs, row. So you see my upper body actually isn't moving at all. It's my legs and my arms. So I'm counterbalancing the press, the leg press, and then I'm also rowing my arms back behind me, squeezing my shoulder blades together. This song's quite intense, isn't it? I feel like I should be rowing a boat. I should be on a kayak in the surf, trying to get away from a dragon or a herd of sea snakes. It's a cool song though, I like it. We can speed up our woodchoppers. Here we go. I'm gonna go red band, woodchoppers. I can call you shy? Awesome. I can call you shy, I will call you shy. I'm glad that you're getting some value from these streams, Shy. So I'm gonna go nice and wide. I'm gonna start off by facing that direction. So feet flat on the floor, rotating. Did it say intermediate? Oh, I didn't press done. Because on my screen it says advanced, but I didn't press save, did I? Good one, Jeff. Thanks, Grace. So rotating. And you can see my feet are not moving. I'm keeping my feet flat on the floor. I'm doing the reverse wood chop. Rotate the torso, rotate at the hips, rotate at the shoulders. You should have good mobility. So one thing that we talk a lot about, and I'm gonna change sides in a second. One more rep, done. Let's change sides, 45 seconds. One thing we talk about a lot when we're doing lifting, I'm gonna start facing here, wrap those hands in, and punch up. Is when you're doing heavy lifts, and when you've got a barbell on your back or you're lifting a barbell off the floor, we talk about stiffening your spine by bracing your core. So that's one aspect of back health. That's one aspect of moving properly with your spine. The other aspect is actually having mobility like this, because we don't live our lives with stiff spines, do we? It's all well and good to talk about having the muscular core to hold your spine in a static position so that it's safe while you're squatting, while you're deadlifting, while you're bench pressing. But we also want to have that strength and that mobility so that we can potentially chop wood. So you see, I've got a mobile spine. I'm able to move and twist around these vertebrae. They're designed to move and twist with some give, okay? So that's what this sort of movement is. We're working under a controlled amount of light stress, and we're twisting so that we can get stronger on our own terms. Split squat, lateral hold. I'm gonna step forward with the left. And another way to actually get some extra tension is to hold down a bit lower. So I'm gonna hold it a little bit closer. Side hold out here, split squats. Don't collapse at the hips. It's very, very easy to do something like this. Try not to lean forward. I want your torso upright for this whole movement and the arm upright. Just check in with your body after every rep. Just have a think about if everything's in the right spot. It's a really, really good practice here. I'm gonna step forward with the right now. or step back with the left, synonymous when you're doing a lunge. Bring it up. So I'm just thinking about what could be failing. What could be breaking with my form? Are my feet both facing the right direction? Are my hips squared away? Am I hinging at the hips too much? Has my shoulder let my arm dip? Am I engaging the rear delts enough so that my arm is being pulled back enough? All of these things should be going through your mind every single rep. So not just the power in your drivers, but you should also be thinking about all of the form everywhere else, okay? Oh, so good, Shy. Exactly. Split squats by themselves are something that some people revere, they fear them. So now, it's adding in a touch of instability. It's always good fun, isn't it? Like I said, heart rate's not soaring, but the sweat is beating now, simply from that extra work that I'm doing to try and hold myself in position. We're going back in these plank rotations. So we are halfway through, team. If you can read the timer there, 18 minutes down, another 18 minutes to go. I'm going back to the red band for this one. This one's great. 20 seconds. You got 15 seconds. You got enough time to take a sip of water if you need to. Heart rate not soaring, but sweat is pouring. Crown. You're a poet, no one's told you. Let's go. Rotate up, grab that band. Twist, pull those shoulder blades together. Nice, bring it down, holding the band on the floor. Straight arms, pressing the hips forward. The slower you do these, the more impressed I am. I'm not impressed by, I don't want no scrub. A scrub is a guy that speeds his way through reps. You know, I don't want that. I want the control, especially with these. Anything to do with balance and coordination. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Awesome. Down on the floor. Cool. Next, overhead squats. Red again. I'm gonna use the red. Actually, I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna use the black band for these ones. I have been doing a little bit to try and rehab this shoulder pain I've been complaining about for the past few days. And to be honest, it's been working. I've been doing external rotated ups and downs. I should talk about those in one stream there. Okay, hip hanging out the pad. You can't get no plank from me. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so the black band is gonna have less give. It's not gonna give me any kind of reprieve from my shoulder mobility. So it's all about me pulling my shoulder blades back, depressing the scapula, getting down real low in this squat, keeping the heels down flat, engaging my core so that my sacrum doesn't dip, my sacrum doesn't collapse under the squat, and then using the quads and the glutes to drive my hips forward as I stand up straight. My camera's at a funny angle, so it doesn't quite look straight sometimes. That's why I'm flipping around. I gotta remember not to look at that and trust my instincts. Okay, bent over shoulder extension flexions. That being said, sometimes your instincts aren't right, and sometimes it helps to have a mirror. I don't have a mirror in here, unfortunately, so I can't do that one. Armpits forward in the overhead hold. Yes, I've not heard that before, Shy. But if you're properly retracting your scapula, then yeah, your armpits will be facing forward. That's a good one. I like that. Okay, here we go. Bent over shoulder flexion extension. Bent over, we're gonna go flexion. And then extension. One thing I nearly did then, I nearly craned my neck forward. Because that's what you'll find sometimes. If you're flexing your shoulders like this, you sometimes feel a bit of that. Try to avoid that. So try and keep the neck nice and relaxed and just use the muscles that we're working on with the flexion and the extension. So the shoulder extension here, this pulling back, you're gonna feel these guys. It's actually a really, really good movement to be doing if you wanna get strong enough for pull-ups, this extension. If you can do pull-ups and you'd like to work on something called a muscle up, then again, shoulder extension. What happens? You're gonna pull up, you're gonna catch the bar, and look at that. Our shoulders are actually an extension when you're in that front dip position. So then you're able to dip yourself up into the muscle up. So shoulder extension, super important. Row your boat, friends, row your boat. Toast on the floor. Shy, thanks for being here. We'll catch you next time. We're here live every weekday morning, unless I've got some clients on or unless I've got a booking on something else. And check out the YouTube channel as well, Shy. Welcome to the team. Good. Good, 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 good. Awesome. Awesome work, team. Awesome work, chat. Hey, the old twist, how you going? How are you, mate? Thanks for that resub. 10 months. 10 months of the old mate, twist. How are you? Okay, I'm going red band for these wood choppers. I'm gonna start off. What religions are most ghosts? Buddhist. Jim, how are you, mate? Okay, we got half of these wood choppers to do. So nice wide stance. I'm gonna grab a little lower because I wanna get some more power in this twist and in this reverse chop, okay? I'm really working on twisting. I'm using my lat on the right-hand side. I'm using the shoulders on the left-hand side. I'm using my core, my oblique abdominals to twist. Yeah, I'm fantastic, Jim. We need 50 seconds, so one more rep. And then I'm gonna swap feet. Yoink. And then I'm gonna keep it at the same spot here. Twist. So we're doing our band workout. We're continuing the series of banded workouts, Jim. You can see what I'm doing here. Rotational core, but also we talked about the importance of a strong but mobile spine as well. Because often you'll hear about spines being stiff for deadlifts, for squats, and wanting to maintain a nice stiff. I think it's actually because I was moving that's why I crackled. Stiff spine throughout those sorts of movements, but there are other types of movements, especially in everyday life, that does require mobility in the spine, so a strong mobilization. And being able to do that safely is a very, very important skill to have. And also, not only a skill, it's a strength. It's something you can build, something you can work on. Should say though, by the way, if anyone is doing any of these sorts of mobile spine movements, and you're feeling some pain, you need to stop straight away. It does have it on every page that I host these videos. There is a little disclaimer there saying things like, physical activity, you do need to have a pretty clean okay from a GP, from a doctor. If not, you can actually sign up for a consultation with me. I can do paid consultations to do little health checks. And the health checks that I do will see if you're okay to start training. If you're not in the okay position, if you are at a high risk category to start training, what I do, I usually send people to a GP with specific instructions around what it is that might be causing you to not be in a position to train nicely. So I've got this out of the side here. We're doing our split squats with this added instability for the band. A spine day, Jimmy. So I've got 90 degrees in each leg. I've got my torso and my hips. They're all going straight down, straight up, straight down, Straight up. Consults with Jeff are worth it. I'm glad you think so, Kitty. Kitty came for a consult. And Kitty's working through some programs now as well. One of the things about the consult time as well wasn't just the are you okay to work. I also do a lot of just mobility tests and things that you can actually take into your workouts with you that can help with lots of stuff, just with everyday workouts. One thing that I notice as well is that sometimes people come to me, and Jim, I'm sure you'll have got this as well. Jim's a qualified coach. And one thing that I sometimes notice is that people come to me with things like, I was told by a doctor years ago that this is always going to be an issue, something. I'm always going to have an issue with this, the doctor said. I kind of want people to not forget that, but just to have in the back of their mind that that was then, and right now, what we know about physicality and what we know about mobility in the human body, it's constantly changing. That's why I'm always open to hearing what people have to say. If someone comes into chat and says something like, oh, but I heard this, I think you're wrong, I heard this. I'm always happy to hear it out, because the science and the process of the scientific method is all about finding arguments against what you believe so that we can edge closer and closer to the truth. If there's no backing, if something is just silly, if the idea is silly and we can't actually find any evidence to support it, then we can throw that idea away, put it in the bin. And that's the scientific method. But if there is something to it, then it's something that can be explored. And I think that's what we want to try and do with our bodies as well. Don't, what's the word? Don't herd yourself into a pen of just believing what was told to you at one point in your life, because there may actually be some things that we've learned that can actually help you to manage or even improve the position that you were told you'd be in forever. So whether that's a pain, or whether that's a strength, or whether it's a mobility issue, always good to work around it. And that's why people like me are always going to be in a job. And people like me are probably going to be one of the last professions to be overtaken by AI. Okay, overhead squats, here we go. Yeah, people that said you've had herniated disc, back problems, hips issues from years. And then, yeah, physician approval, you go start with basic strengthening, basic work, and then a lot of it fixes, doesn't it? A lot of it gets done. I was doing a session, it was 2 weeks ago, Jim, and I had a client of mine who was actually, she'd just given birth, she'd just been given the okay after a C-section, which is a 6 week period. After you have a C-section, 6 weeks recovery, and then you'll be given the okay. And she was telling me that prior to the pregnancy, she'd always had back issues. Oh, I've always got a problem with backs. Back issues. I've had her for 4 sessions now. The first 3 sessions were literally, what day is it today? Shoot, it's bin day. I can't stop recording. Sorry guys. Sorry, Grace, I should say. Bins are full. Bent over shoulder flexion and extension. I'm out of time. I'm gonna pause it. Pause. I'm gonna put the bin out. I'll be back. Oh no. All right, I think I'm okay. I think it's okay. So if I do like a real quick edit, a quick cut, I've got to try and figure out a way to, when it does come to this editing, I've got to remember that I have to edit this. I'll say it right at the end, okay? bent over shoulder and bent over shoulder, flexion and extension. Here we go. I've got my left foot working this time. I'm still back on that yellow band. If you want to increase the intensity with this one, right? Increasing the intensity, you can do in two ways. Number one, you can get a heavier band. Cool. So you can either get a heavier band or you can hold it at the end for a little bit longer there. So a little bit longer. Time under tension helps with that. We've got the row your boat, red band. Yeah, here we go. So, band goes underneath the feet. We're up in our boat hold here, and then from the boat hold, I'm actually gonna press the feet down, pull it back. Feet down, pull it back. Thanks, Sherman Tank. I think it looks cool. I did get the tattoos, realistically, not for anyone else. Anecdata, yeah. Andrew Huberman uses that term all the time. Anecdata. Because one of the things that I actually heard in one of the more recent podcasts was, you know how sometimes when people say to us, oh yeah, I noticed this thing, and so I think it's true for me that this thing happens. And then we say, oh yeah, but that's like anecdotal evidence with a sample space of 1. That's just you. And sometimes I'm guilty of this. I'll often just throw that away as a passing thought and I don't put any extra weight into that. But you know what? In certain cases, when n equals 1, and n is also the universe, so what do I mean by that? If you are only concerned about yourself and your own training, then that n equals 1 is the most important sample space, right? So under certain circumstances, where you're gonna be talking about your own training program and what works for you, then the sample space of 1 is the most important data that you can get. And so that's where the term anecdata comes from, is because at that time, it's actually quite important to have that data, because anecdotally, it's working in that sample space of 1, and the universal set equals 1. So guess what? For me, this is the truth, and the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. so that's an interesting way of looking at it too. So in that sense, and like what you said there, Grace, what's super important to note is the context. So whether you talk about something in a broader context with anecdata with a sample space of n equals 1, then that's when it becomes less statistically significant. So that's where another term comes from maths. What is the statistical significance of this sample space in the broader context? And that's when you can start to apply what you find in experimental data as opposed to anecdata. And that's where you can form some broader conclusions on the general population. So we're talking very sciencey today. I feel like it's good to talk about things in a scientific way, because we often get a lot of we get a lot of input from things like Facebook and social media, and there are some very unscientific people pretending to speak about things scientifically. Okay, so we got to watch out for that. Split squat lateral holds. Let's go. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the lunge first. Yeah. Side raise, squat, side squat. Here we go. I think anecdotes are useful in closing the circuit between what you're experiencing and the reality of scientific evidence. Yeah. For sure. And it's also, anecdotes are really, really useful in speaking about statistics and probability too, okay? So when it comes down to something like, actually I think it was one of your posts, Gym on Instagram, whereby you were talking about body fat and body mass index, whereby you can say something like, you know what, someone can make a broad statement about people that carry a lot of body fat, saying that it's not healthy to be doing that. But at the same time, you can be a healthy person that carries a lot of body fat. All it means, that BMI scale, and this is what I talk about, it's a scale, it's a categorization. It's not telling you what you should look like. It puts you at a statistically higher risk of certain diseases. So yeah, you know what? You might be a healthy person, but you also might be at a higher risk of developing something later on in life because of how much body fat you're carrying. So statistical significance is very important there. And I'm gonna end the workout on that. The breathing's heavy. The heart rate isn't too crazy, but the sweat's flowing and I feel like my shoulders have got a whole new lease on life. Today was very shoulder-centric. Shoulders are a very, very easy thing to actually rehab and prehab in a workout with bands. Reason being, it's very easy to work legs because of gravity. Just do a squat. Our body weight is pulling down. Whereas with shoulders, we've got muscles that work to move our... How you going, Egg? 2 raids in 1 recording. I'm just gonna finish this really quick speech on shoulders. We're just talking about bands, and what a band will do here, a band will actually enable you to apply resistance and force in a direction other than down, okay? So you can move your arm left and right. There are muscles here that are designed to internally rotate and externally rotate this joint. So it's really important to move them when you can, and bands are a really, really good way of actually putting that force onto the shoulders there. So thanks for joining me for this purple level workout. If you found that was a bit much, make sure you go back and check the blue and the green level workouts. That's your intermediate and your beginner level workouts here on the YouTube channel. Otherwise, come join us on Twitch, twitch.tv/fit for purpose, and check us out on weekday mornings Adelaide time. See you next time.